This is really special for me. We're getting to talk about wonder. And wonder is something that I feel like I've been spending most of my life chasing and trying to figure out what it is. How do you get more of it? And I feel like the work we're trying to do really is to create wonder for people. So I'm really just honored to get to have the privilege of talking about this. It's a massive, one of the most profound feelings we can have, so no pressure. I only have 20 minutes, so I could talk about this for a long time. I'm going to try to keep it short, but thank you guys for being here. If you don't know what you do know, well, this is Human Eye, and this is our new event space. So we are, as some of you know, we've been on the William Street side over here. We're moving over here. This is going to be a community event space. We hope to do lots more things like this. Over here is going to be a production studio where we'll be filming things. And these back here, we're building out our actual offices. So there's a lot of excitement happening. We're super happy and proud to be on the south side. And we hope this is just one of many more gatherings like this with creative people to make stuff and to talk about creativity. So thanks for being here. You know, real quickly, I feel like this place has pretty good acoustics, but I just wanted to test them out real quick. I thought we could do a sound wave. So we're gonna go, woo, and then I'm gonna go like this. So over here first, woo. So, and then back, and then really loud. And one more time. Sweet. Thank you. Okay, so what we're going to talk about today is what creates a moment of wonder and how can we create more wonder in our lives and in the work that we do. I think wonder is this amazing thing that sometimes happens to us. And I don't think that we think enough about maybe how we can be more active in creating moments of wonder. So let's get into it. You know, one thing that makes wonder, I think, tricky to talk about and think about is that it's an emotion, for one, but also there's so many different types of things that create wonder, right? I don't know what you think of when you think about being in a moment of wonder, but sometimes a moment of wonder is just being in the presence of nature and the vastness, the bigness, the beauty of it, and you're sort of humbled in that moment, realizing how amazing the world is. When you think about how tiny and vast nature is, you look through a microscope. I don't know if you guys know that this is a micro animal that exists called a tardigrade, and if you look through a microscope in water with some moss, you will see this creature. It exists everywhere. There's probably one like right over there. That will blow your mind, okay? And then, you know, when we think about huge man-made things like the wonders of the world, the Wall of China, it's 5,000 miles of this. And I think once you actually see it or walk up to it, which I actually haven't, but that's the moment that you're just like, what the heck is happening? How is this possible? And that might create wonder for you. You might walk outside on the way to work and realize someone has taken Legos and repaired parts of a building or a wall that was messed up. This, I think, would create a moment of wonder for you. And then when you realize that an artist has gone out of their way to paint the edges of an island pink, that's going to create a moment of wonder. And then I think we all know, and since we've been humans, looking up into the vastness of the sky, the cosmos, and realizing how small we are creates this moment of wonder. There's actually a type of wonder that's so profound and big, it has its own name. It's called the overview effect. If you guys have heard of this, it's when an astronaut actually looks down at Earth from outer space and sorry, that's when you see Earth from outer space, you realize we're just all on a rock flying through darkness together. And I don't think any of us really get that until you can see it for yourself. So again, lots of types of wonder. And I think, we all know and talk about childlike wonder, right? Like everything is wonderful. And kids are in constant states of wonder, and they're constantly seeing things new. They're getting their minds blown all the time, which is why they have parents, so they won't die, right? I took this picture of my daughter, Sullivan, at the Tennessee Aquarium, and I mean, she's just looking at some fish, but the face that she has, to me, is the feeling that I am still chasing as an adult. How do we get back to that when just looking at something pretty, to us, normal, with that level of wonder, excitement? I think that's what we're after in life, right? So what happened, right? Like, why do we go from childlike wonder to very rare moments of wonder sometimes as adults? You know, where do we go from that moment to the normal day-to-day and just the grind, right? How does it that kids who imagine what the world could be like and who dream of what the future could be, these same children grow up to make a world that looks like this sometimes? I try to think about this, like, what is going on? Why, right? So let's get into it, right? So, and a lot of this is my own thinking and borrowed bits of thinking and stuff I've read and thought about a long time, so take it for what it's worth. But I think that your brain, you need to understand, right, that your brain is working really hard to make the world less wonderful. Now, I know that's going to sound a little like, oh, my brain's great, like, just let's go with this for a second, right? Like, because I do think this is something we need to understand, and this is something that I think a lot about. So it's not our brain's fault, right? The world is just so overwhelmingly amazing that the brain has to simplify everything in order to just make sense of things so you can survive. So you can just go to work without like looking up at everything and seeing double rainbow all the way. Like you gotta like get on with things, and we don't have time to have our minds just constantly blown, right? So just to give you an example, right? It's like trees are freaking incredible, right? We know this when we actually think about it. And then like you can go up here and just see this amazing beauty. And then, you know, we could go to work and realize like, oh my gosh, trees are incredible. Oh. But instead, when you're just walking to work, when you came here, you passed a lot of trees. This is the amount of information your brain sent to you. Tree, 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 cool. Oh yeah, what address? Oh shit, we didn't have the wrong, oh what? So what happened there? Like, and we don't even realize this is happening, but this is just happening all the time, okay? You know, your brain is working really very, very hard to conserve energy so you can focus on higher function tasks and get through the day without you being eaten by a lion. Like, that's what it's about, right? It's trying to keep you safe. It's trying to say, there's no danger here, let's move on to other things, right? So just know that about yourself, right? And so I think that it's this collision of the simple sort of mental model that your brain has created about the world so that you can survive versus the reality of the vastness and epicness of life that creates this feeling of wonder. So if this is true, we can start to think about like, well, how do we embrace this collision or make more of this collision? So this is what I think is happening in your brain when wonder happens, okay? So this is the sort of the program that your brain is running in the background, right? Brain's like, hey, everything's normal, nothing to see here, tree, whatever, everything's cool, and then boom, something surprising happens, something amazing, something incredible. Brain's like, full body sensory alert. Go look, feel, what's going on? Make sure you're okay. Are you okay? Is everything okay? So you're like already heightened, right? And then the brain's like, yeah, it's cool, I'm safe, looks like everything's safe. Then brain's like, then WTF is happening? Like, surprise, I'm safe, what's going on? System does not compute. Brain's still just like, I don't understand why someone put Legos here on this wall, like in my morning, like what's going on? And then the brain's just sort of like, okay, I give up. I'm just gonna enjoy this, I guess. Like, I can't figure out what's going on. Let's just go with it, right? And then the brain's like, wow, life is incredible, everything is amazing. Oh my goodness. And it's like, let's remember this feeling forever. Just like, let's never let go of this profound moment I'm having. And then it's like, oh wait, I just got a text. Hey, what's your Netflix password? What's going on? You're like, oh yeah, back to, yeah. And we just go back into the day, right? And so if we just know that like this is this moment that's really interesting and special, we can start to think more about how to create moments of wonder. I looked up the definition of wonder and thought it was just really boring and uninspiring. And so I'm trying to come up with how I would define wonder. I would say that wonder is the feeling of your brain trying to wrap itself around something so big that it knows it can't. It's trying to figure it out, and then it also is in that moment realizing like, I don't know, Or wonder is a moment when your ego melts away and you simply bask in the feeling that you really don't know very much and that anything is possible. And I think that one thing that's so great about the moment of wonder is you are in a state of flow and your ego is gone and you're just fully engaged trying to understand how awesome everything is. Or I would just say for me, wonder is the pleasurable feeling of having your mind blown. So I think one thing I would just say is that wonder, what is the job of wonder? Wonder is what opens the door to curiosity, exploration, and deeper understanding about the world and our place in the universe, right? So the job of the brain is to try to figure it all out. But the job of wonder is to remind the brain that like, you don't know anything. This stuff is super deep, profound, and intricate, and you're never even gonna get close. And I just think it's really important that we take time to remember that. And that's why the ancient philosophers said it a long time ago, like wonder is what leads to wisdom. Wonder is much closer to what is actually going on than what your brain thinks is going on. And that's also about being humble and realizing that. So how do we get more wonder in our lives? If this is true, what can we do about it? Well, I think we all know travel is something people love. Well, why do we love travel so much? Well, it puts you in a completely new environment where your brain has to engage everything new again. This is probably the most, when your brain is like a child's brain, is when you're in another country or in some very different place. Your fully sensors are on, everything is being seen, and you're like, whoa, they got weird door handles here. It's like, because you're noticing door handles, right? And there's just much more going on. And so you can just create wonder by like going somewhere else, a different environment, and you'll be like a kid. So do it. Art, I think the job of art is to create wonder, right? Like, this is crazy and amazing, but I think what the point here is that like, this is actually just what all life should normally feel like. It just doesn't. Right? So go see some art and just realize that like that art is much closer to reality than we think it is. We'll call it surreal, but real is surreal. I'll be honest, I don't really read poetry, but I love what poetry is trying to do, right? Poetry is trying to shake you to see stuff again. Like, hey, remember what's going on in life, right? So Walt Whitman says, to me, every hour of the light and dark is a miracle. Every cubic inch of space is a miracle. Every square yard of the surface of the earth is spread with the same, the fishes that swim, the rocks, the motion of the waves, the ships with men in them. What stranger miracles are there? He's trying to say that wonder is everywhere all the time. We're just not seeing it, right? Today, we don't read poetry, but we do have slow motion. Our modern day poetry on the internet, right? Slow motion is just trying to show you stuff that's happening all the time that we don't really think about, that we don't, and it makes you wonder, like, wow, what is time? What is going on when I just thought we were listening to some music very quickly? Magic is something that I am very excited about and learn a lot about. I think magic is just the art of defying the brain's expectation and creating a moment of wonder. So it's pretty fun, right? If a magician takes a card, right, and he pulls it out of a deck and he just makes it disappear, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's a moment there where your brain just goes, what? Wait, what? And that's all they're trying to do, is just to sort of mess with what your expectation is going to be, to then make you go, maybe I don't know everything about how paper works or hands work or what's going on. So many people will say, do that again, because it's the brain wanting to like understand it. But actually, I'm trying to get people to understand that like the point of magic is just sit back and let that happen to you again. Don't try to figure it out. Mindfulness. We've all heard about mindfulness. Like what is that? Mindfulness, I think, is just retraining the mind to actually see the world again and take in the wonder of the present moment, right? You're literally just trying to get your learning brain to shut off and to just see whatever it is, the door handle. Just see again, right? And it takes practice. It is so, you are resisting the hardwiring of your brain if you are doing this, that you've been programmed with for however old you are. So it's going to take, if you're 25 years old, you have 25 more years to do this, and there's a lot of the same wiring happening and being reinforced every day. So you probably have about 200 years of rewiring to do. Guess what? We're never going to get there. And just know this, right? Like, we can all talk about like, oh, my phone, this and that. It's like the reality is your phone, you're going to your phone for wonder. Okay, and you can find it, but we just need to accept that your phone is a highly addictive, low-grade wonder drip. You know? Like, I'm gonna make a sticker and put this on the back of my phone. Like, there's wonder there, just know that like it's addictive and it's the low-grade wonder, and that there's way more wonder out there if you'll put it down and go look for it. So go in there, get some wonder, but then like realize, just accept that it's not quality. So, let's talk about 5 ways you can create wonder in your work. This is stuff that we do at Humanot, that we're still trying to work on, and it's stuff you guys can quickly implement, just some techniques. The first thing you should just do, and we do a lot of advertising and design, so this is a space we think a lot about, but first just break the brain's expectation, okay? There's an expectation. You're putting something out in the world. Break the expectation. So I love, this is early Mini Cooper launch work. It's really old. It's done by Kristen Porter-Bogusky. This is not Humanot's work, but you know, makes everything else seem a little too big. And then they literally put a phone beside the billboard that's too big. I wish I got to experience that. It would have created wonder for me. And this is probably one of my favorite print ads of all time, if there's such a thing you can have. They got Rolling Stone magazine to change the color of their staples to orange, so that when you did the center fold and it was open, the Mini Cooper was going through the orange staples. And at Crispin, they used to say, what is an orange staples idea, right? What's an idea that we could challenge everything about what we know about the medium? No one had thought, can you change the color staples and then make your ad on that? They did, and it sparks wonder, right, when you open a magazine. Another thing I'll say is, the second thing you can do is create new surprising possibilities. So, sometimes people think technology is like anti-wonder. Like, it's not. I think we all remember when the iPhone, not all, some of us remember when the iPhone came out. It was magical. It was mind-blowing. And why? Well, one of my favorite quotes is a science fiction writer, Arthur C. Clarke, says, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. Okay, so really amazing technology is magical. We have a little bit of experience this when we worked for 5 years on an iPad and iPhone app called Felt. Felt is handwritten cards for the modern world. You handwrite on the iPad or on the iPhone, and then it comes in the mail with your handwriting in it. And all I can tell you is that, like, when you get that in the mailbox, it's a magical moment. You're not going like, oh, technology, what is our world coming to? Like, it's magical. It's wonder, right? There's nothing more boring than the toothpaste category. And so we're really lucky to work with a company called Hello. They make a really amazing, naturally friendly ingredients and beautiful package design toothpaste. And we decided to bring some technology and innovation to the toothpaste category, which is this video that we're about to watch.
I'm going to tried to tunnel before. It gets easier after the first time. Say hello to Spit! Powered by Hello! Yeah, I've actually got a sink back here. Filled with Hello toothpaste, brushes, mouthwash, and floss. And Hello, you've already innovated the stuff that goes in your mouth. Now we want to bring Hello to wherever your mouth is. Somebody call Spit? Oh, that's me. We created Hello with naturally friendly and effective ingredients, like farm-grown mint and tea tree oil for freshness, and coconut oil to soothe and moisturize. So they work great, and they taste great too. That's activated charcoal with MCT oil.
Somebody say MCT oil?
I love our fun natural flavors, like strawberry and watermelon.
I love this Spit.
That's Spit with a Y. Spit is still in testing and invite only.
I'm an influencer.
But you can find Hello products in stores now or have them delivered to your door.
Amazing.
Say hello to the future of brushing.
5 stars.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. So, thank you guys. For the launch of this campaign, we took this scooter that really does have a sink on the back that is fully functional to New York, to a bunch of influencers, and had them use this. And when a scooter pulls up with a sink on the back and you brush your teeth right inside of Manhattan, it's magic. There's a wonderful moment happening there. So just know, even if you have the most boring product, that's actually a potential place to create wonder just by adding some innovation or some technology. And we should just know, right, if you go to this, if I go next slide, that there's all sorts of new tech happening all the time that you can use to create moments of wonder. And you don't have to have crazy high levels of tech. These are games, these are new experiences. This is the world we're headed in, embrace it. And then another thing I'll just say is you don't have to be high tech. I think you can just write with wonder, okay? Create a voice of wonder. So you're seeing more of this show up on Instagram and whatnot. You know, reminder, we are all floating in space. And there's this great book that I was introduced to by Bethany, you know, so your illustrated guide to becoming one with the universe, right? This is someone trying to draw what's going on, right? What's really going on. And then use plain language so that you understand it and feel it. I think we have an example of this that I'm really proud of, where we feel like people don't understand how amazing plants are and that you need more plants in your body. So for Suja, we created this.
We're Suja, and we love plants. We really love plants. And we want you to love plants too. And if you don't, we promise that after watching this video, you will. Shh, just let the love happen. Yeah, we're talking about plants. Those big leafy green leaves that shoot up out of the ground, create enough food to feed 7 billion humans a day. And pump out all the Earth's oxygen so you can breathe. Wait, did you just breathe? Of course you did. Thanks, plants. These magnificent, humble creatures also make the world a brighter, more colorful, nicer smelling place to live. So we think it's time plants got their moment in the sun, especially since they're made of sun. Think about it. When that giant fireball shines down, plants reach up and soak in all that tasty sunshine. And through some magical witchcraft called photosynthesis, they convert that light into pure, delicious energy, which means plants are basically solar batteries you can eat and drink. Yeah, and if you really love plants, you wouldn't just eat them. You'd hunt and gather the most nutrient-dense, flavor-packed organic ones out there. Then you'd squish them and crush them and smush them and mash them and chop them into tiny pieces. Then you'd cold press them to keep them pure and organic and never heat them up or add any extra sugar. Then you'd squeeze their tasty guts out into bottles and tell them something fun to say like Suja. Suja. So that's what we did. Suja. Drink plants. Take their power! I love plants. Help them out. Share this video.
So just be excited about the world, and it will help other people be excited about the world. And then here's just a really simple equation for you guys if you're stuck and need some wonder. Time plus passion equals wonder, right? So these guys who made the world record of dominoes, like, pretty freaking amazing. And It's just time. And so this is a quote from Teller, from Penn and Teller. Sometimes magic is just someone spending more time on something than anyone else might reasonably expect. If I showed you something, the problem is when you show someone how you do a magic trick, it ruins the wonder. But sometimes I'll show people how I do it and they're like, it's more amazing that you somehow found time, being a dad of 2 and with Humanot, to figure out how to do that. So just know that this guy spent 30 years building this thing with toothpicks, and if you saw it, your mind would be blown, and this guy, he has the world record for a ball of paint that he just keeps painting over and over and over. Pretty wonderful, I think. So if you've got time on your hands, make some wonder, please. And then lastly, this one's really simple. Just make the boring beautiful, okay? The reality is, you saw what kids grow up to in the world they make with strip malls sometimes, right? There's a lot of just boring stuff that's not very thoughtful. Billboards is a great example. And it's easy to hate advertising, but you can make advertising beautiful. You can use that huge canvas. I mean, think about how many artists are like, oh, I wish I had a bigger canvas, And meanwhile, advertisers get huge canvases, and what do they do with them? Not much. So just realize, if you want to create wonder in that moment, you can. No one is stopping you. You just have to push for it. Before I leave you with the one thing, that was what I was told you're supposed to do in these things. I was like, I'm not good at one thing. But I just wanted to give a huge shout out to the wonder of the beauty of this deck, which was Jen Rizak for helping me make this. I think that time plus passion equation is alive at Humanot all the time. That's kind of our biggest secret. But what's the one thing I could tell you that I think we just have to accept if we want wonder to be a thing in our lives? If you want more wonder in your life, you have to value what you don't know more than what you know. And I think we spend our whole careers and our lives so trying to know stuff and being proud of what we know and right, and I've got the answer, I've got the solution. And we're missing everything, which is not knowing. We're missing everything out there that we don't know, which is what wonder is made of. And so if you do this, you will be humbler, you will be more grateful, you will be more happy, and this takes work. We are not programmed to do this. It takes a lot of effort to do this, but that's what I'm trying to do in our creative process. I want to be a creative director that does not know the answer. Let's go find it. Let's be surprised by what we could come up with if we went into the unknown. So just think about that in your own day and your own life. How do I, in this moment, value what I don't know more than what I do know? And I think you'll start finding a lot more wonder. So thank you, guys.